Good evening, Vancouver. Welcome back to Canucks After Dark, Monday, November the 20th. And it's good to be here after a win because the last couple of games weren't. And good thing we don't do shows on those days. We timed it perfectly. As always, joined by my co-host who is fresh, very fresh off of Game Over Vancouver, Canuck Clay. How are you doing on this busy night for you?
Yeah, Parker, I'm doing great. Thank you to you and to everyone for accommodating us. Yeah, bumping the show half an hour later so I could get my Game Over in. Parker, you have Game Over on Wednesday, I believe. Is that correct? Yes, that's what I said on the stream. Correct. So awesome. So we're trying to do that, but we still obviously committed to everyone here. So thank you to everyone. And yes, it is nice to be not talking about a third consecutive victory to a team in our division that's below us in the standings.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough week for the Canucks, but I mean, you know, you look at like, yeah, well, they went 2-2 since we last talked. I mean, in theory, that's not that bad. But the two games they lost, especially, you know, that loss against the Maple Leafs last week, and it's, you know, it's now 3-3 in their last 6 for a team that, well, we expected them to win every game this season after the way they started. And we thought, you know, hey, this is at least a 65 win team. Yeah. Maybe not, but they are 13-5-1. They are 1 point back once again of the top of the conference. Ignore that the Stars have a couple games in hand, but a pretty good win for the Canucks tonight, which we will get to. We'll break down the other 3 games from this week because, man, the Canucks are busy. 4 games this week that we have to break down, and they were all since Wednesday. Wow. And then we'll have another 3 games to preview as the Canucks go Wednesday against Colorado, Friday in Seattle, and Saturday in San Jose. So no rest for this team, really, who is, I think it's something like 10 games in 17 days it ends up being, with a lot of travel in here. As they went to the East Coast with Sens, Leafs, Habs, and now they have to go to Colorado, then back to Seattle, then down to San Jose, and then back to Vancouver after. This team is very busy right now.
They are. And I know we'll probably get into this when we talk about kind of the losses against Calgary and Seattle. So Rick Tocchet's been very weary. He doesn't blame travel. He says every team has to do it, but he does say that there are different ways that you can play to combat fatigue, and that can be inevitable. And I don't think the Canucks look tired tonight. They definitely didn't, but I think there are moments, and I know we'll get into this in the Calgary and especially the Seattle game, where they didn't look particularly fresh.
Yeah, and I would even say the start of this game, tonight's game, they just, you're against, you know, a bad team who's won 3 games all year. They just looked like they sort of came out on an even footing, which after the last time they played them, that shouldn't be the case, right? These teams should not look equal. And the Canucks, to all their credit, the last 30 minutes or so of the game, they really looked a lot better. Yeah. Should we go back in time a little bit, go back all the way to Wednesday?
Yeah, well, I think because it's fresh, why don't we talk about tonight's game, if you're cool with that, and then bounce back to Wednesday, if that's cool. Yeah, for sure. By the way, it's funny you mentioned that whole thing about this is a team that we should beat, destroy, because my lovely wife, Gail, who understands what's happening with the team, but doesn't follow it as closely as, let's say, you and I do, halfway through the second period when it was basically 1-0. She's like, shouldn't we be killing this team? Isn't this team we beat 10-1? I said, yes, dear, it is, but they're trying to.
Yeah, unfortunately, makes it a little tougher. This game started off, you know, pretty slow. I would say, you know, the Canucks had a power play early, really didn't do much. Sharks had a couple chances. I mean, shots in the first period were 11-6. I think I had natural stat trick up earlier. High danger chances were, and I'll have this up in just a second, in all situations, high danger chances were just 3-3 in the first period. So only 6 real high danger chances in the entire period. Both teams just looked slow and sort of sluggish, which if you're looking at the Canucks, you want to see them go up against the Sharks and just take it to them. However, if you're going to have a slow start, a team like the Sharks isn't that bad to have that slow start against, I guess. Yeah. I mean, anything in the first period really stand out to you tonight?
No, aside from how choppy it was, exactly. There didn't seem to be much flow. Of course, we were all surprised when the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were there. Gail got more excited about that, I think, than the game. But yeah, no, not a lot happening. And that disallowed goal was in the second period as well, right? So nothing happened in the first period.
Yeah, pretty much nothing happened in the first period.
Okay.
Genuinely. Second period, the first 3 minutes of the second period took like 10 minutes because there was like 9 whistles in the first 2.5 minutes. Eventually, you have this Eklund goal where Zetterlund drives the net, which, hey, if you're a hockey fan, you like to see guys drive the net. It's a good strategy. However, so he ends up going through the crease. Rebound goes to Eklund, who jams it in. And on replay, and again, I don't trust refs to call goal interference. I just don't. You can look at this and say it's goal interference all day. I'm sweating watching this review. But when you have both of your skates go through the crease with not even like your feet were close together, like shoulder width apart, both feet going through the crease, taking the goalie out.
Yes.
Were you nervous about this goal interference coming back?
Well, I had 2 thoughts, Parker. One of them was, I know people have been joking on Twitter and at least on my channel, maybe on yours too, that they never ever seem to talk. It never ever seems to challenge a goal when Demko's involved. I don't know if he thinks that Demko's a big boy or something, or that Casey DeSmith needs more help. So there's that thought. Oh, he's actually challenging a goal for Demko. And to me, it was more. To be honest, Parker, I didn't even notice the skates. I noticed more Demko's just his unnatural movement from left to right. He wasn't sliding to make a save. He was almost pushed and rotated a little bit. So I was pretty confident it was going to get called back.
Yeah, because that was me too, right? Obviously, he gets pulled away from where the puck is.
Yeah.
And then, I'm looking at, I'm like, Hughes kind of gets in there and gets, or maybe it was Lafferty, like someone kind of gets a stick in there. And could they say they pushed him into the net? But it's like, no, he's driving. There was no way he wasn't going right through the crease and getting that contact with Demko. So it does come back, which is very good. And then the Canucks come out and that's when they start actually like putting some pressure on. And it was really the Hoglander line that came out and just applied a ton of pressure in the offensive zone. You then have Quinn Hughes doing a little dance on the blue line. Literally, he skates in down the right wing, stops, comes back, goes all the way around up the blue line, makes it look like he might play a drop to Hronek, but doesn't, comes all the way down the side. And then just such a good read on this shot, because a lot of the times guys will come down that side and they'll try to go, try to pick the corner right next to the goalie's head, right? 'Cause it's a tough save for the goalie, right? There'll be about a puck-sized hole right there usually. But Blackwood committed so hard to that and got so tight to the post. And you grab a screen grab as Hughes takes this shot, Blackwood looks like he's getting like compressed into the post, how tight he is against it. And Hughes could not place this any better, right? Right off the far post. If he goes half an inch this way, it's gone and it's going outside of the zone, honestly. I mean, just a special shot, a special play all around from Hughes.
We've joked, Parker, so much about him adding 15 to 20 miles an hour on his shot. Do you remember him, though, honestly, this much kind of walking the line? Yes, but always coming down one of the wings, especially the left side, because he's a left side defenseman. I don't remember him doing it as much as he's doing it this year. Or maybe it's because he's scoring that I'm noticing it more. But I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember him doing it this often last year.
Yeah, it could be a confidence thing, honestly, like knowing like, hey, my shot goes in now. Like I've got a good dangerous shot. I mean, he already has more than a third of the shots that he had all of last year, right? Last year he had 154 shots. This year he's got 58.
Wow.
So he's on pace for something like more than 200 shots, like 220 shots maybe this year. So he's shooting the puck more for sure. There's no question about that. In less ice time per game, honestly. He definitely seems to be more willing to make a play to the net. Whereas before, even if he did walk the line and come down the left side, he's always looking far side for that pass, right?
Sure.
Or going back to the point. But I think his shot improved so much, and I mean he's shooting at a clip, 3x what it was last year's shooting percentage. And part of that is gonna regress, but part of that is just being a better shooter now. That he sort of knows like, hey, it's not just a low percentage shot. If I shoot it from out here, there's actually a real chance something happens.
And coming into this week, I know I heard on I was out of there in Halford and Bruff for one of the different shows on Sportsnet 650. Something like his possession stats, it's almost like 10 or 12 minutes more than the next player in the league. And that's 10 or 12 minutes with the puck on his stick. That sounds like way too much. But I know it's some crazy stat.
He's spending like 2 minutes or something per game with the puck on his stick, which, I mean, you're like, hey, well, he's out for 25 minutes and there's 10 guys on the ice, so theoretically he should have it for 2.5 minutes. But no, like the puck isn't on a stick a lot of the time, right? The puck, especially in the NHL, it's a very quick passing game. There's shots, there's pucks going around the boards to somebody, right? Those don't count. It's time where the puck is actually on your stick.
Yeah.
Most guys only hold the puck for 3, 4, maybe 5 seconds at a time, but I mean, sure, maybe a lot of that is Quinn Hughes standing behind the net waiting for line change, but a lot of it is, a guy comes into pressure and he'll just loop back and keep possession and create so much space that, it's fantastic to watch.
It's so impressive. And you saw that stat that they showed on the broadcast about the second fastest Canuck to get to 30 points, only behind Tony Tanti. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and not to mention the third fastest defenseman to do it as well. He's the third defenseman in NHL history with 30 points in fewer than 20 games in a season, joining Bobby Orr, who did it 5 times.
Pretty good.
And Al McInnes, who did it in 1990. That's decent company for a guy who, didn't seem like, I mean, he's a good passer and a good playmaker, but adding 8 goals helps a lot this early in the season.
Oh, phenomenal. And Spartan, thanks for the donations. We'll recognize them all at the end of the show, actually. But thank you, Spartan, we see them coming through for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So anyways, a great goal that we've sort of got stuck on because it was, I mean, Hughes has been such a good story. Ian Cole takes a penalty right after to kill the momentum a little bit, goes off for interference. This penalty kill was fantastic. I think Demko had to make 3 really good saves. Or sorry, penalty kill wasn't fantastic. The power play for the Sharks was fantastic. But Demko played very, very well. And then we have the Hoglander penalty with 3.5 to go in the first period or second period. Before I say anything, what's your take on this play?
It's so funny. I was going to say the same. As you know, I always watch your post-game videos. I couldn't today because obviously I was hosting Game Over Vancouver. So I'm not sure if you spent a lot of time on it, a little bit of time. Nick and I talked about it on Game Over, of course. Okay, so I'll preface this by saying I've never played competitive hockey. I play roller hockey, fine. And if I ever fall down or slew-footed a guy, it's because I'm trying to hurt him. It's because I'm literally trying not to fall over myself. I know they said Hoglander's never received a major penalty in his career. So what I basically made the point of is I don't think, like by true definition of hearing intent to injure, I don't think there was an intent to injure. Was it the cleanest play ever? Maybe not. I don't think it was an intentional slew foot, like I'm going to destroy this guy. But as their legs got tangled, his right leg was behind LeBanc's left leg, and unfortunately, LeBanc's body twisted as they were coming down. So all to say, I know he was given the 5-minute match penalty for intent to injure, but is it possible that you could slew foot a guy without trying not to hurt him? Maybe I just sounded the stupidest thing I've ever said. I don't know.
Technically not anymore. They added that to the rules recently, and I saw that on Twitter. Any slew foot is an automatic match penalty.
Okay.
So that twisted my view a little bit as well, because when I saw it happen in real time, I honestly thought LeBanc was the one who initiated, and I was like, oh, Hoglander's getting the penalty because he got hurt. And then they show the replay. I'm like, okay, yeah, Hoglander got the shoulder around and sort of won the battle, as in took him down. And then on the 4th replay, it's like, okay, yeah, he does. I mean, as they're both sort of off balance, Hoglander's right leg plants there as they're doing this battle. Do I think Hoglander was thinking, oh, I'm going to get the leg behind him and slew foot him? I don't think so. I genuinely think it was 2 guys are sort of battling, clearly not happy with each other. And I think Hoglander, they were both off balance. Hoglander's leg goes there as he's doing this move. I think the shoulder to try to pull him down, I think that was intentional. I think putting the foot there wasn't. But again, I don't know, right? I'm not in his mind. However, based on the letter of the law, it was a slew foot. I mean, the foot was there. He pulled him down that way.
Right.
And by the letter of the law, that's a match penalty now. I would have, if that wasn't the case, I would have said, it's probably 2. I don't know, even though we did get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's roughing, really. I mean, intent to injure is such like a silly term to me, because it's like, yeah, you can get a fight with somebody, you're trying to hurt them. You can cross check a guy in the back right into the post and you get 2 minutes for cross checking, but you were trying to hurt him, right? There's so many intents to injure throughout hockey games, and you're trying to make the guy feel it, right? But letter of the law, it was a slew foot and it is a game. And if it was against anyone but the Sharks, that might have been very bad for the Canucks in this one.
Yeah, funny. Forced talking to they switched Bovillian to Giuseppe, and then they had to rotate the other 5 guys through with no sixth guy on the bottom 6. By the way, is it true or not true that is there an automatic 1-game suspension with a match, or no? It's still
no. There's an automatic review and a hearing.
Okay.
But they don't have. I think if it's in the last X minutes, I think 10, then yeah. But I don't think there's no automatic suspension, but there is a hearing. I'm looking at it. I don't think he gets an extra game.
I actually don't think so either. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, there was a chance he doesn't even play next game anyways. So with the way the lineup's going, but yeah, it was an unfortunate play. I mean, it sucks that LeBanc got hurt. But yeah, I don't think there was real like intent to cause real injury. Right. But it was technically a slew foot, which is technically a match.
And no surprise, Darren says was just watching the Sharks live chat, and they think Hoglander should be crucified. Of course, you're going to stand up for your player. Yeah.
And we'd be in a similar boat, I bet. Right. The thing is, are they biased? Yes. Are we? Yeah, of course. Right. Everyone has a bias. So it's it's hard to get around it sometimes.
Lucas, thank you for the donation. We're going to highlight the donations at the very end of the show, but thank you. And we know that you were there at the arena, which is awesome. We know that it was Autism Acceptance Night, and we know you're a great advocate for that particular cause. So thank you for the donation, and keep up the great work. Yeah, keep up the great work, Lucas. Good job.
Wow. So Canucks go to a 5-minute kill, which is scary. They're up a goal, right? Sharks can easily get 1. They could even get 2 coming into the end of the period. It's 3.5 minutes, or sorry, it's 1.5 minute in the second, and then 3.5 will carry over to the third, if I remember that correctly. So Sharks honestly don't do much on the power play. Great kill from the Canucks. They're keeping everything out. And then Dakota Joshua on this PK makes such a great play to break up the play on the point, get the puck out. And then the Canucks get the puck in deep. They get a line change, essentially. Phil Giuseppe just turns away from the puck, gets off the ice, which allows Blueger to jump on as Lafferty just goes and wins a battle on the penalty kill. I have to imagine this is just good situational awareness from Lafferty. He probably knows, hey, when I was on the way down the ice, there was 11 seconds on the clock, right? They keep track of how much time's left. He knows that, I can go in deep. The odds that they come the other way in that time is pretty low, right? So I'm just going to go all out. And it works. I mean, he wins the puck battle in the corner. He gets the puck out to Blueger, who's skating in. Teddy Blueger cannot buy a goal tonight, but his rebound, Lafferty comes out of the corner and the puck's just sitting there, and he jams it in with less than a second to go.
Now, I thought I saw in the replay, was it Lafferty or Blueger that won the battle on the side? And like, didn't a San Jose player either fall on the puck or fall over? So, like, there's a breakdown too, right? In the corner to get the puck
think out. So. Yeah. I think Lafferty ended up just winning the battle. I don't think that guy got up after.
But obviously you never want to give up a shorthanded goal. You never want to give up a goal in the last, let alone minute, second of a period. And that could have been a backbreaker. It was sort of a backbreaker. It wasn't a complete backbreaker because San Jose ends up getting one back, but still, that's horrible. That's horrible.
Yeah. Typically, and I looked at that goal that happened. I'm like, God, that's game. Like genuinely, that's such a deflator for teams. And it helped that they had 3.5 minutes of power play coming back. Because when you're a team, that's what I said on my post game. Like, look, the Sharks aren't even scoring 2 goals a game right now this season, right? Yes. Now we have to go about and get 2 in the next period to tie it. That's a tall order, right? And they of course they get one back in the third. That shot that just hits Myers, I think in the hands. It looked like the gut, but it might have been hands.
No, I agree with you. Yeah,
it just drops right in front of him to Hurdle, and Myers is just standing there like this, and the Hurdle just snipes it. Essentially, a quick snapshot.
We shouldn't laugh, but
I know
the insensitive fan, and I admit, part of me was yelling at Myers for just standing there doubled over. Probably he's in excruciating pain. Like
Right.
I get it. He's a tough guy. I'm not. You quibble all you want about his mistakes, whatever. But I'm sure anyone who gets hit in the wrist with a puck is gonna.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a funny visual, especially because he didn't miss a shift, right? Like if he was out for the game from that, I wouldn't be joking about it. But he came right back. So they get one back, and then at the end of this power play, the Sharks 3.5 minutes. Again, really good penalty kill the rest of the way, especially from guys like Pettersson and Miller. And then Pettersson just ends up going for a skate. Lose me? We back?
Yep, we're back.
Okay.
Yep.
Pettersson just ends up going for a skate down the ice at the end of this penalty, takes it to the corner instead of taking a shot. And then as he goes off for a change, he does a little quick glance around. He finds 6 white jerseys around him. And he stops at the San Jose bench and just starts tapping the boards and yelling at the ref as the 6th guys try to get off. Elias Pettersson draws so many penalties, and he should get credit for that too, as one. But I mean, the heads up awareness that's something the officials should be tracking, not him.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Unfortunately, he didn't score, so he's not fighting for the scoring lead in the NHL, at least for one night. But that was a very, very important contribution.
Yeah. Power play doesn't do anything on that one, but it was funny. The Canucks do get their third, though. This one's all Filip Hronek, who doesn't even get a point, which is unfortunate because I guess Besser touched it at some point on the play to the net. Just great job walking the blue line, creating space, looking like Quinn Hughes out there. I mean, what a strong pairing that is in the offensive zone. Yeah. Gets over to Hughes. He goes for the tip pass for Miller. Miller gets the rebound, and it's 3-1. And that's, I mean, there's still 13 minutes left, but it's San Jose. The odds of them pulling it back are pretty low.
No, and I really like Miller. Yeah, you're right. Hronek with a wonderful effort there. Hughes with a really good tip. I didn't even see that Besser tipped it on the way to Miller, who tipped it. But I love the way I think Miller fought off Hurdle, and he had Hurdle all over his back, and was able to push it past Blackwood. So that was excellent. That was an excellent goal by Miller. And it's, I agree with you, Parker. That kind of sealed the deal. You didn't think even San Jose you didn't think they were going to come back from 2-1, let alone 3-1. So that wasn't, even though there, like you said, 13 minutes left. I had 0-0. In fact, I even did my tweet. I drafted it saying, let's go talk about the Canucks win, and I was very confident saying that.
It's risky. It's risky.
I don't believe in superstition.
I mean, I don't know. I know you're not a gambler, but the odds coming into this game, the Canucks were like -400, which means you have to bet $400 to win 100. It's 4-1 essentially odds. Actually, no, is that 5? That's 5-1, I think.
Yeah,
that's so unheard of for a hockey game. Because there's so much randomness in hockey, right? So for that to go the Canucks way, that's very surprising. So they weren't getting back in this one. Big block from JT Miller though, with the goalie pulled, which was nice. And then Hronek takes a stick to the face, which ends the game because the Canucks go to the power play.
And speaking of blocks, we took out a few of their guys too.
There was a lot of
Granlund. Yeah,
they took out one of their own guys too. In the first, I think there was a lot of pucks hitting skates. That one was to the knee. I think it was it Granlund who took that puck right to the side of the knee. That cannot feel good.
Yeah, and then didn't Burrows get hit in the face too?
I think so.
Yeah. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, a very lots of pucks hitting people in this one, but it's a good bounce back game. The Canucks needed it. I mean, it's always not a must win, right? But they with the strong start they had, you want them to build up as many points as possible. And these games against the Sharks, you just have to win them, right? So they go to 13-5-1. They've still won 7 of their last 10, even though they've only won 3 of their last 6 because they won the 4 before that. So just a much needed, pretty easy win.
Yeah. And I know we led with this, but you're right. It's not must win. It's just the start of the season, but you don't want to get even in that mental habit of losing to divisional teams that you should be beating. And I know we're going to get to it now in a couple minutes, but especially coming off a rather listless performance against Seattle on Saturday.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to go reverse order or should we jump back to Wednesday?
Dealer's choice, whatever you feel like.
I think we should jump back. Let's go back in time. Let's go
Sure.
back to Wednesday. Islanders in town. We'll keep these ones a little quick because we did spend a lot of time on this one. But we there's rarely games on Mondays. So we rarely get to talk about them. So let's go back to Wednesday. Bo Horvat's return. And this one's a Canucks win, which was nice to get. Didn't look good from the start, though. You have a couple of, again, it's hard for me to remember goals this far back. But you do have the Islanders scoring 2 in the first period. You have an Engvall goal, and then you have Nelson scoring just a minute and a half later. Early troubles, both power play goals for the Islanders. Canucks PK still is a little iffy, hey?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. The Engvall one, was that... I can't remember these goals, quite frankly.
I can probably tell you in like a few seconds. Okay. It was just a shot on the power play, top of the face-off circle. It was nothing special. It was one that Demko would probably want back. And then the second goal is that one that Nelson just sort of had the shot. The rebound went right across the goal line, basically to the side, and he just swatted it and it slid over Demko.
Okay.
So not a great start. In that Islanders game. But second period, Canucks, the power play merchants that they are, come back out, and we have one of this wasn't the JT Miller shot that I thought it was. This is just a Leon Draisaitl-esque one-timer that he gets on the cross-ice pass from Pettersson. Great vision from Pettersson firing it across. And JT Miller doesn't really get all of it. It's a low shot. The goalie gets a piece of it, but it sneaks through. So it's 2-1. Things are good. It's not that bad. And then guess who scores?
I know. And it was Hughes actually made a very uncharacteristic giveaway up the right boards. And then I'll give full credit. Barzal and Horvat, they played a little bit of give and go, and they were so patient. I'm not sure where the rest of our guys were, but they were able to pass it back and forth a couple times.
JT Miller was slowly drifting into center ice because Hughes' puck never made it to him. So he just gave up on the play, which was a bit of shades of last year, but
whatever. Yeah. But Horvat, Barzal to Horvat, back to Barzal, and then back to Horvat. And was it a one-timer snap?
Yeah, it was a give and go one-timer essentially.
Okay. Yeah, and a goal that we've seen both score many times here for our team. And when it happened, honestly, my first thought, I think you had game over that night, right? My first thought was, please don't let this be the game-winning goal. I don't care if we lose. Well, I do care, but if we lose in extra time, as long as this isn't the game-winning goal, and it turned out not to be, thank goodness.
Yeah. So the Canucks get another power play, which is always good. This was beautiful from JT Miller. Brock Besser is sitting in the slot, the little bump play down to Miller, and he just sauces it. Just nice little feather. It lands right on Brock Besser's stick. You have the visual of the 4 guys just surrounding him and Brock Besser standing right in the middle as they all converge, and just quickly goes far side, just gets enough of it. So through 2, the Canucks are alive. They're just down 1 goal going into the third in this one.
13th goal for Besser. He's only behind there's 2 guys ahead of him, right? Matthews and someone else for the goal scoring lead, which is pretty darn impressive.
Very good for Besser. So we go to the third. The Canucks get that 2-minute 5-on-3 because one guy gets hooked and another guy gets tripped, or vice versa. If I
both on
correctly.
Kuzmenko.
Both on Kuzmenko, which was great. Canucks really this is one of those things where it's like, hey, if the Islanders kill this off, the game's over, right? You have to score because otherwise they have all the momentum. Canucks just sort of set up for a while. They really don't get much done. And then finally, Hughes and Hronek swap sides because Hronek gets the puck at the point. He plays it over to Hughes, and then Hughes walks the line and swaps sides with Philip Hronek, and they just set up the 1T, and it's a bomb from Philip Hronek. Just perfect placement. It's right above the pad, far post, 109 miles an hour, whatever they said it was, even though that's not what it actually was. But it was 100 plus, 100.37.
You see Miller flinch in front of the net. It was funny.
It's a scary one coming. Hronek's got he's got a rocket on him. And 3 power play goals for the Canucks to tie this one up.
And we must mention Kuzmenko, because not only does Kuzmenko draw the 2 penalties on one play, which is very impressive to have them go down 5-on-3. But then prior to that shot, I talk about flinching. Miller blasts him in the face, in the, I guess, chin. It was weird, Parker, because when I saw it, I wasn't at the game. I was watching, but that time I was home from church, and I saw Kuzmenko go down. But then you look for, well, you don't look for blood. There was no blood. So then they say, well, did you get hit in the chest? Was it kind of in the neck? Which is, everything's still scary. And I guess it caught him here, but it wasn't like bleeding profusely, I guess.
Yeah, the kicking was the scary part.
Yeah,
right? He went down. He was kicking his skates. I'm like, oh no, and it looked like collarbone or like throat. Even I was like, oh no, like please be okay.
Yeah.
Somehow he's out in front of the cameras the next day with a big smile on his face and this enormous bruise on his chin. I mean, how can you not love the guy at that point? No. Right? Like he's just, nothing phases him. Did you see the quote from Kuzmenko when he was like, it's all in broken English? Like, JT tells me go in front of the net, I shoot, you stand there. So it's like,
he always says, I like it. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, JT is a hard shot or something like that.
I get hit in the face. I like it. No.
Yeah. But the Canucks then just sort of hang on for the rest of the third, go in survival mode. Both teams okay to go to OT.
Yep.
Canucks had all the control in overtime. And it's funny, I think this was right after that quote, because remember they had this like news thing going around. I was like, oh, they might make overtime.
Yeah,
2 days might not be able to like double back or whatever in overtime.
Yeah, that's
and
correct.
Then Elias Pettersson's like, I don't know, just like be better.
Be better hockey. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what do they do? JT Miller, I think he had missed a pass earlier in the overtime. That would have been a breakaway. And then he finds Quinn Hughes on the breakaway. No. And he can't miss right now. And he finishes it.
And this one was interesting because I had some fun with this. I bought a new green screen, so I was just fooling around with like a breakdown video. And a lot of people wanted to blame Horvat. And if you guys remember the play, it was actually Besser rimmed it around to Hughes. Barzal follows the puck, follows Hughes, and then when Hughes passes it to Miller across ice, Barzal comes off of Hughes and then joins Pellet in checking Miller. Horvat's 2 steps behind Hughes. Miller fakes going back to Besser. Hughes takes off, and then he seams it to him, and he scores. And then I know a lot of people want to blame Bo, but I was like in the video, well, why did Barzal peel off when he knew he was the one that forced Hughes to make the first pass? But then I talked to my hockey buddy, and Parker, I love your quick comment on this. My season ticket partner, Mike, who plays a lot of hockey competitively, he said, no, Barzal did the right thing checking Miller. Pelech should have backed off as last man back, and Horvat should have seen Hughes streaking. So I don't know, streaking in that. So I don't know if you'd agree with that take.
Yeah, it was a real team effort, I think, on that blown coverage. Horvat's sort of going. I mean, honestly, where Horvat's skating, he's looking to prevent that pass to Hughes, right?
Right.
He's thinking Hughes is going to sort of stay on that wall, and Miller's going to pass it back, and they're going to turn up ice. So Horvat goes to just sort of be in that passing lane, and Hughes just darts away. Now, the Islanders defenseman, his job there is to not be beat by anybody, right? Just needs to always be between the closest guy in the net. So really it's sort of a team. There's a few mistakes being made there, but Hughes is just so quick, and he jumps on that lane so quick, and Miller sees him before anyone else does. I mean, there's some blame to go around, but it's also just a great play.
Yeah, I like it. That's my new one today. I like it.
So good win. That's the one we'll spend the most time on, I think, out of the next two.
Okay.
Because the next two are pretty miserable. Canucks have to hop on a plane and go right to the Flames. It's a 6 p.m. start, so you lose an hour there, and the flight and whatever. And they flew that night, didn't they? After the game,
they got in at 2:30.
You get in at 2:30. Like, you don't get a great rest. It's a scheduled loss, like back to back on a travel and a shortened time. Like, it's a scheduled loss. And the Canucks sure did lose. They get outshot 39-22. You have a Pettersson goal, at least to start. Just sort of a classic Pettersson face-off circle slap shot, which was great. I mean, Markstrom didn't even move. Which was fantastic. Honestly, though, like the rest of this game, the Canucks just looked slow. They were just tired, and they just looked bad.
Yeah, and this was DeSmith, right? DeSmith, who plays every
Yep.
Saturday night game, apparently, except for one so far. So, and it was his first regulation loss. But yeah, the Dubé goal leaked through him. The Hannafin goal was a team effort of poor defensive play, right? Not taking that short side and putting it behind himself. So, and then you have Huberdeau score. Yeah, it was weird. That was the one where all 5 Calgary goal scorers scored their third goal of the season, which is absolutely strange. And then an empty netter. Yeah, there wasn't a lot to like about the Canucks game. I think you're right. I think the travel had a little bit to do with it for sure. For sure.
Yeah, they just didn't look good, and I really I sat there after that game and I'm like, hey, can't look into this. Like you just can't put that much stock into this game.
Yeah.
You want it. It sucks that it's a division rival and it's Calgary, and they've found their footing a little bit, at least at this time. And you just want to keep this winning streak alive, but it's not the end of the world. They lost this one.
I'm not sure why I said Saturday. This was a Thursday night. But still, it was the point stands. It was DeSmith's first regulation loss of the year.
Yeah,
which is pretty
so
good.
Then we go to Saturday.
Yep.
Kraken in town. I missed this game. I had hockey that night. Perfect 8:30 start, so you just don't get to see any of it. I watched the first period in the dressing room. So I'll let you take the reins on this one.
Really quick. I was at this game. Excited to be there, and I know you and I on separate trips are both going to go see Vancouver and Seattle next weekend, right, for the rematch.
Yeah,
I think so. Pretty cool. So JT Miller starts the goal, the scoring when there's a puck that leaked through their goalie and Grubauer, and then it was sitting there basically on the behind him, and then JT Miller swoops in and gets over the line just before he gets swept out. They review and they go up 1-0, which is good. Then Oleksiak scores on a horrible line change by Petey's line. Definitely Petey did not look good. A drop pass from Beniers to Oleksiak. It's 1-1. A big slapper that usually you see Demko stop, but that went through. And then Eberle's wrist shots. Is this the one? I'm trying to think of what. I'm just looking at it right now.
It looks like there was a shot. Everybody lost the puck, and it just was in.
We weren't sure how it went in. We were screaming. We didn't know if it was a high stick. They reviewed it. But yeah, it snuck through Demko, and it was 2-1. But then Hughes scores yet another goal. And it says slap shot. I'm just looking at this one.
Just a rocket.
Oh, yeah. He just came in and smoked it. So 2-2. 2-2 going to the third period. And then Gord's tip-in. I don't know if you remember all these replays. This was 2 nights ago. I still can't remember it.
Essentially – the Canucks are just scrambling around in their zone. Borgen fires it in front as Gord's falling down. He gets the stick on it and ramps it in.
Gotcha. Okay. You can tell how much I love it when other teams score. I can't remember them, but I do remember the Beniers goal because Eberle basically somehow made Tyler Myers fall down in the corner by himself.
And then Beniers is just alone in the slot. Just a big defensive breakdown.
Yep. Canucks pull Demko for about 2 minutes left. They take a timeout, get all excited, and then Hoglander gets a very kind of a good hand-eye, mucky goal with 11 seconds left. And then amazingly, Parker, the Canucks had 2 chances. And I just got to tell you about this one play. This was so fascinating because I was with my season ticket partner, Mike, who understands hockey. He thinks that the Canucks on the face-off, down 4-3 with 11 seconds left, with Demko pulled, he thinks that they tried to automatically misdirect the Kraken because they were doing all this movement on the left side of the faceoff circle with PD and stuff, almost like in football when you are doing some motion behind the line of scrimmage, and then all that was happening on the left, and then they dropped the puck and they raced down the right side. Maybe it was just a fluke. That's where the puck went, and they got a decent shot off. And then there was like 5 seconds left, and then they still got a decent shot off. So at least they had 2 chances to give us a tiny glimmer of hope, but it was all for naught.
Yeah. It sucks too. Like again, the Kraken are a team that this team should beat.
Yeah.
Did they look slow? Did they look tired in this one? Or what was it just bounces didn't go their way?
No, I think they played them pretty even the first 2. Actually, the shots were 9-8, 8-8, 9-8. So from a shot perspective, I didn't see any team dominate the other team, but I did think that Seattle seemed hungrier in the third period when they got those 2 goals. And I know Rick Tocchet always talks about the 3 S's: structure, systems, and staples. The staples being hard to play against, a good first pass, all those things, playing on the rails, as he always said. And I think the Canucks did get a little bit away from it. And this is the game where Parker Tuckett said that he needs guys to play a little bit tougher.
Yeah, looking at natural stat trick, high danger chances in this game end up being 13-6 in favor of Seattle.
Yeah.
Especially in that third period, 7-2 is the big difference maker. Expected goals 2.57 to 1.75
for Seattle.
Again, in Seattle's favor at a 60-40 clip.
Yep.
Corsi, Canucks led 55-46, and Fenwick, which is, shots on target at least or blocked, 35-36. So again, basically even. And overall shots, like you said, basically even. Scoring chances, basically even. It's those high dangers, right? That's where the expected goals come from. It's the high danger ones.
Yeah.
Canucks allowed a few more.
Yeah, when I think about it, at least Alexei's first goal, Benier's fourth goal, they're uncontested from the slot. And those are obviously high danger chances.
Yeah, that makes it tough.
Yes.
Definitely makes it tough on your goalie, especially. But they bounce back tonight, which is great. So really it's a 2-2 week, which, we'd love to see better, but we've asked for a lot lately. So like we said, that puts the Canucks at 27 points in 19 games. Coming into tonight, at least for the Athletic, the Canucks were sitting at a 92% chance at 103 points projected. I doubt that changes with a win over the Sharks because I'm sure they were projected to get 2 points in almost every simulation that the Athletic ran. But either way, still second in the Pacific, 2 points up with the Kings. Kings do have a couple games in hand, but again, playoffs is what we want, right? We just want to see the team in the mix in April. They've got a nice healthy gap. The teams in wild card 2 both have 19 points. And then beneath that, it's 2 500 teams. It's the Ducks at 9-9. It's the Coyotes at 8-2. And then you have the Flames on a, moving up a little bit. I mean, 5-3-2 in their last 10. It's better than Edmonton, but they're still 10 points back.
It's funny, Parker, that you mentioned the Dom Luszczyszyn's Athletic model. I believe that's the same model that has the Sharks with 0% chance of making the playoffs.
Yes,
0.
Deserved 0. It is 0. They've been at 0 since before the season started. Day 1 of the NHL season, he had them at 0. The only team in the league, projected 67 points. They've been worse. Now they're projected to get 52 points.
That is approaching Colorado from 2018 or 19 or 17, whatever, futility. But then they turn around and win a cup. So maybe there's some method to madness. Yeah.
It's nearing historic levels. I mean, the Capital, they're not going to be the 75 Capitals, right? They won 8 games all year. So that might be a little bit tough. But I think for goals per game, they're last in history. They showed that graphic on the screen on the game tonight. They have what's their goals per game right now? They have 27 goals in 18 games. So 1.5 goals per game right now for the Sharks. Right. That is so ridiculously bad. The Canucks are at 4.
That was the graphic where the 5 teams after them, it was all from the 1930s. I remember.
Yeah. And Shorty had the quip about they were all playing against Cheech at the time.
Yeah, very good.
So the Sharks are bad.
Sharks are bad. Okay, so I guess we should, speaking of Sharks and Kraken, we get to play them again. I guess we get to preview the next 3 games now.
Yeah, next 3. So Wednesday, the Canucks got to travel all the way to Colorado. Not a quick flight, really. Do you know if they're traveling tonight?
I hope not.
They usually would, I would assume. But then, you wouldn't get into probably 6 a.m. local. They're 2 hours ahead. So maybe not. Maybe you sleep here, you fly there tomorrow. You're not practicing anyways.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be a very limited morning skate even on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then, so that's a game that'll be tough. The Avs are obviously good. They're 11-6. Right. You're on the road. Again, this team's pretty fatigued. The Avalanche lost to the Preds today 4-3, but they've been pretty hot, right? They beat the Stars 6-3. They beat the Ducks 8-2 last week. They beat the Kraken 5-1. So the Avs have been looking good. That'll be by far their toughest game of the week for the Canucks.
And you have game over that night. I think we talked about, right? Yeah. Oh, exciting. Yeah, Colorado, that's always a marquee matchup. I love, and a simple, easy comparable has always been this Hughes versus McCarr debate. And I think we can agree up until this year, you'd give the edge to McCarr, but it's kind of nice that we're walking in as Hughes being the right now, at least this season, being known as a better defenseman. So I can't wait. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's this year. It's actually debate, right? It hasn't been really, and then people have tried to make it one. And I've always said, look, Makar is just so good, and
a
he has
righty.
been again this year. He's been so good, but now he's at least making it interesting. I mean, Makar always just scored more goals, right? That was a big thing, and had more points anyways. But yeah, the way Hughes is playing, it'll just be fun, right? Like a perfect world, they both get like 4 points. I mean, just like from an entertainment perspective, obviously I'd prefer that the Canucks win, so maybe not 4 points for Makar, but it'll be an entertaining one.
Yeah, actually, Parker, I just looked it up. Makar has 27 points in 17 games, so he has 2 games in hand, and using that average, he's basically right on Hughes's pace.
So he's going to become the 4th defenseman in NHL history to have that 30 points in less than 20 games. That's crazy.
It is
just crazy.
Yeah,
the Avs it's going to be a high scoring one too. The Avs are involved in a lot of high scoring games. They're averaging about 4 goals a game almost as well, just like the Canucks are, maybe a little bit less. But they also allow more goals than the Canucks do. So good. Should be a fun one.
Awesome. So that's Wednesday. I agree. The toughest of the 3 games for sure.
And the Canucks fly all the way back here, essentially, to Seattle, to play on Friday night at Climate Pledge, which will be fun.
We will both be there.
We will both be there, differently but the same.
Yes.
So that'll be fun. Either way, though, I mean, Kraken have weirdly had the Canucks number.
Yeah,
it's bizarre, but they beat them twice in preseason. They beat them this week. I would love to just see a big bounce back here.
Me too. And there's no rivalry, Parker. You and I have talked about this before. Until either something dirty happens between them, or you at least play one playoff series. Right now, it's not a rivalry. It's we want to beat them. They want to beat us. We don't want them to be better than us because they just came in the league 2 seasons ago. But overall, it's not really a rivalry just yet.
Yeah. So it's Friday, and then again, quick turnaround. The Canucks then have to fly to San Jose and play the Sharks again. Again, the schedule's tough, but you still have to beat the Sharks. You absolutely have to. What do you think goaltending is going to be this week? Obviously the Canucks play Wednesday. That's gotta be Demko, right?
Yeah, I'm going Demko to Smith. Demko.
You think they give to Smith the Kraken, and then Demko gets the Sharks on Saturday?
Yeah, because I do like. Oh man, I do like. I guess Demko's played the last 2 against Seattle, and again, I don't know. There's something about the fact that Demko has not lost to the Sharks in 10 games in his career. Just mentally, I think that's a big advantage. So I'd go that way.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, I'd prefer to see Demko obviously being at the game on Friday.
Good point. Yeah.
But, and part of me is like, it's the Sharks. Like that's, if your goal is let's take fatigue out of it, let's take the recent games played out of it, you look at this and say, okay, I want the better goalie against Seattle than San Jose, right?
That's fair.
However, DeSmith has been really good also. And Demko's played, a decent amount lately. I mean, the Canucks have been busy, right? He played Wednesday, Saturday, and today, this last week. And if you were to play Wednesday, Saturday, and then he wouldn't have to play till Tuesday, that's a nice little 2-day gap, to maybe give him at least a little bit of rest instead of going just like you're playing Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? Like just 4 2-day gaps. You'd like
with travel.
With all that travel, you'd like to get to Smith in one of those. So I think that probably is the way it'll shake out as well.
And Viper makes a really good point in the chat. Says San Jose. Yeah, we know that he's from the Bay Area, and then not that you start a guy just for that, but he's gonna be motivated to play well. Yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
Maybe they go Demko to Smith. Demko. Yeah,
that makes sense.
So what's your prediction?
Man,
2-1. 2-1.
I 2-1 is like the looking at the teams that makes sense. But man, they've looked just a little slow lately, and that scares me a little bit. I think the Avs are going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
The Sharks they will beat. It's that Kraken game, right? I think they lose to the Avs, they beat the Sharks, and then that Kraken game it'll be a toss up. Yeah. I think with all that travel, I'll go 2-1.
Okay,
I'll go 2-1, but that Kraken game's going to OT.
Fair enough. They're not going to lose with both of us being there. They
They
will not
can't.
lose. They can't.
No,
Come
they
on.
never lose when I'm there on the road.
Your
Just
record
ignore
is-
the first few games of last season.
Your record is stellar. Actually, now that I
Yeah.
think about it, please stay home. Can you give your ticket? I'm just kidding.
Hey, when I was a kid, I went to a Canucks game in Arizona,
Yeah.
and the Canucks won like 7-4.
Okay, fair.
That's my one, my one claim to them doing okay on the road for me.
You know what's crazy, Parker? I've been a season ticket holder for 14 years now. Of course, those are home games. I've been to not a lot. Like I'm not a champion where I've been to all 31 other arenas, but I've been to 7 or 8 to watch NHL hockey games.
Mhm.
But I've never seen the Canucks play away. This is my first time ever.
Interesting.
Yeah,
You've just been to other games.
Yeah, I've been Calgary. I've been to Washington. I've been to Atlanta when they had a team. I've been to a couple in the states, like California, Ottawa. I've been, but this will be my first Canucks game. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That
In
is cool.
Vegas.
Yeah, my one road game that I was at that wasn't a Canucks game was in New York, probably 10 years ago, I think, and that was the Leafs at least, so that was a fun one.
Oh, that's cool. Do you remember who won?
Pardon me?
Do you remember who won that game?
The Rangers won in a shootout,
So you're happy.
and we had Leafs fans right behind us. Yes, we were happy.
Awesome.
So that was fun.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, all the other ones I've been to, the 3 Californias, Seattle, and then
Yep.
this last year I did Philly, Washington.
Right.
I think that was it. Did you?
And you're not.
I don't know.
Right.
Either way,
And you and I have both been a Climate Pledge. You actually saw the Canucks play there, right? I was there
Yeah,
for a
last
playoff game to watch Seattle lose to Dallas, but we wanted to go check out the
Mm.
arena. Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah. So
great arena.
it's amazing. It kind of makes Rogers Arena look like a dump, honestly. Like,
It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Me too.
Other things. So let's get to the donations that have come in. Thank you guys very much. Spartan said we only lose to real teams like the Flames. Okay, I don't know if we're gonna call the Flames a real team yet. We did also lose to the Maple Leafs, which isn't great, but
Hate it.
also saying that 3B Quinn Hughes is better than McCarr. It's so close.
Yeah.
And then Lucas with the $10 saying, "Hey, I'll just walked in the door after coming home from the game tonight. Epic game. That's all. Great night to support the autistic
Yes.
community. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Lucas,
Yeah.
for your donation. Yeah, it was a great game. Always a good time against the bad teams if they're as bad as the Sharks are.
Yes.
Yeah. A couple of things that I wanted to chat about while we're here. 6 days ago, we had a note that Patrick Allvin says that they're chipping away at a contract extension on Elias Pettersson. How much money are you ready to throw at Elias Pettersson?
So I can say 2 things. I've always said make him $100 million player, 8 times 12 and a half. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not the first person to say it. I won't be the last, but I feel confident in that take. But Parker, I know you listen to sports. You've heard some things. More and more insiders are saying, why not go for a 4 or 5 year contract as opposed to 8? Line it a bit more closer to Hughes. Maybe get him a bit cheaper AAV. Maybe you don't want to commit to PD when he's past 30. All these things. So I'm not sure I've completely flipped, but to me it was always a no brainer that it was going to be 8 years. But so if it's 8, to answer your question, I'm going 8 times 12.5 because I think he's not going to make McKinnon and McDavid money, but he's going to surpass all those guys like Tavares in the $11 million range. And then if you go shorter, if you go 4 or 5 years, I still think he's making 11 to 11 and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is McDavid money. McDavid does make 12 and a half.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But that was like years ago that he signed
Right.
it by 12 and a half.
Yeah.
So it's a big difference. And there's a lot of there was RFA years on that, of course, too.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't want 4 years. I don't want 5 years. Give him 8. Like, let's get it done.
Yep.
He should be in a Canucks uniform forever. He doesn't play a style of he's not a particularly like fast skater. Like, he's a fine skater.
Yeah.
But he doesn't play a super physical game, although he gets a bit involved. Like, it's a very cerebral game, really good passing, a great shot. I don't really see it deteriorating dramatically, right? When he's 31, 32, right?
Right.
The stars are usually the exception to those age curves, right? People are like, oh, you look at, Crosby didn't get bad. Yeah, because he's fantastic, right? That's usually the differentiator. It's the middle of the pack guys that deteriorate sort of into the early to mid to late 30s. That age curve really takes down. But he's going to be worth every penny, especially when that cap goes up. And I don't, you say like, oh, line up with Quinn Hughes. I don't want Quinn Hughes to have any reason to leave either, right? Like, let's just keep him here forever. 12.5 million, if that's what it takes, that's fine by me. He's worth it easily.
Yeah.
And I'd have no problem with that.
Cool. I'm with you. Let's get it done.
And then the other big one was Carson Soucy, who went from week to week to 6 to 8 weeks with a lower body injury. Which means we're going to see a lot of Noah Juulsen.
Yeah. Our defense certainly looks a lot weaker when you take Carson Soucy a lineup, because now basically you have to play 2 of 3 of Juulsen, Friedman, and Hirose, who's played only 1 game. Man, people are asking, why isn't Soucy in LTIR? He will. You can do it retroactively, so don't worry. It's and you get the cap savings retroactively, but sometimes you don't put a guy on LTIR right away, just in case miraculously he comes back before that 2-week period. So, but that's not going to be the case with Soucy, obviously. I don't know, Parker, if this speeds up the necessity to trade someone to free up a bit of space to get Ethan Bear, even though Ethan Bear is a right-hander. I don't know if this means Zadorov to Vancouver has more legs. I don't know. It's kind of fascinating. Maybe they're working on something behind the scenes that we don't know about it. This regime is very good about keeping things under wraps compared to the previous one. That's for sure.
Yeah. The front office did a really good job of having 6 defensemen, essentially, right? They made their opening night roster pretty good. And that was impressive, genuinely, right? Bringing in Hronek, Cole, and Soucy, now having the depth of guys like Hirose, and even went and took a shot on a guy like Matt Irwin, who will not play an NHL game this year, hopefully, because those things are going very wrong. But yeah, once you poke a hole in that, and there's people saying, hey, when can we trade Tyler Myers? It's like, man, you trade Tyler Myers, even there's a hole now, right? Now you're pulling in guys like Noah Juulsen and Mark Friedman. Like what a trade that has ended up being, in my opinion. Like he's been good. He had 5 shots tonight.
Yeah,
he was all low percentage, but
they're all the same.
They were all the exact same, but he's been good. He's been genuinely good, and he's earned a spot on the team now. So you essentially have now the Juulsen or Hirose flipping back and forth until you get Soucy back, which won't be until essentially 2024 at this point.
Yikes.
I don't know why it's Noah Juulsen right now.
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing. He has the occasional good hit, which is great. But he doesn't move particularly well, as in he moves poorly. I'm being a little overly generous, I feel like. And there's a lot of plays where I feel like he gets beat easily, and he's got a little bit of physicality that Hirose doesn't, but I think Hirose gives the team a little bit more potential, personally, at the very least. But yeah, if I don't like buying, and maybe I'm just averse to it because of all the pain that we've been through in the past handful of years, but this team is going to be in the playoffs in April, more than likely, right? And what's going to help with that more than another defenseman? We know it's what they need. If it's Ethan Bear and you don't have to give up assets for it, great, right? Yes. We know he's skating right now in Canucks colors. There was a clip of him practicing, wearing his Canucks gear.
Yeah.
So that would be great. That, like, throw an Ethan Bear in there and take Juulsen of the lineup. Like, suddenly, hey, now we're cooking, right? Now you've got that nice little bit of extra depth. And when Soucy comes back, then you have a decision to make, right? Then you can maybe start rotating guys in and out. But then again, like, there'll be another injury at some point anyways, right? There always is. So if you can do it without giving up assets, great. But yeah, if you have to move out a guy like Anthony Beauvillier, if you can move that contract out right now, how is that negatively impacting the team? I don't think it is at all.
It's not. Although, I mean, yes, we're talking about a very small sample size, but I thought Beauvillier was excellent today. He got bumped up to the second line. Yeah. Phil Giuseppe, for the third period.
But again, he scored 2 goals again, and they were the 9th and 10th goals in a 10-1 win.
Yeah.
He isn't producing. Getting that cap space, bringing in an Ethan Bear even, and then having a little bit of cap space just on hold would be fantastic. And maybe you can add another piece at some point with a trade. I would, this team's decent. This team's good enough to, we're not talking about adding a number 2 defenseman right now. We're talking about adding a depth piece,
right?
A number 6. That's all this team really needs to just push through, this 2-month injury.
And isn't it funny, Parker? It's not lost to me that Carson Soucy is a left-handed defenseman, and we know Rick Tocchet does not want to play guys on their opposite side, although he did that with Friedman tonight. But we're talking about improving the right side, even though I guess because the whole point is we have Cole on the left too, whereas the right side after Hronek it drops a lot to Myers, and then it drops a lot to the next guy too. So a left-handed guy is hurt, but we're talking about maybe potential right-hand D-man or any D-man, and then I guess the chips fall as they may. But they're gonna have to do something. There's no, I don't see them. Friedman's great. He's playing punching above his weight class. Juleson can't do that. He'll just punch something or someone. And then Hirose, I don't think he's got Tocchett's full confidence. So you're at least one, if not two guys short right now.
Yeah, I think they'll make some sort of move.
Yeah, me too.
Alvin hasn't been afraid to. He's made a lot of them. If you can get something going, might as well. You can't just have 6 defensemen in the NHL. You need 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully, I'm excited. I'm hoping they do something that'll be fun. It's interesting. Again, even if long term, maybe it's not a great move. We've been sitting here for 10 years just waiting for the team to be good again. Yeah. Hey, let's buy somebody. Let's get rid of a little bit of futures just once, just for fun. And it not be a terrible move, right? Paying a second to get rid of Jason Dickinson, which wasn't a terrible move, but you know what I mean. Or the first round pick for OEL, right? Those were buying when you're not supposed to, but now we can buy when it actually makes a semblance of sense, which would be very fun, at least to follow along.
And Parker, so strange to say this. I'm calling it now, though. It's November 20th today. When it comes to the trade deadline, I think one of the biggest stories, if not the biggest story, is going to be Tyler Myers, because despite him getting walked in the corner against Seattle on Saturday, despite him looking down at his hands and his wrists and giving no, we kind of joked about that tonight. I know a lot of fans like to nitpick every single bad thing he does. Rick Tocchet loves this player. He does.
He's been good too.
Yeah, and he's been fine. He's been fine. So what happens when you're battling for maybe first in the division with Vegas? Just imagine, and you see the $6 million contract that's coming off your books, but you could say, I need this guy for the playoffs. It's going to be crazy if they end up keeping him and not trading him away for any assets because they think he's going to be a key part, or at least a part of the playoff run. I can't wait for it. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts.
Yeah. If you're in a wild card spot, trade him. At that point. But if you're top 3 in the division and you're sitting pretty comfortably, they don't, we've wanted to get rid of him for nothing for so long, right? Hey, let's just hang on to him for the run. And let's see what happens, right? What are you going to get for him realistically at the deadline? Probably not anything game breaking.
No.
So yeah, let's, again, we're putting the cart before the horse here, but it's a fun thing to think about.
Yeah. I'm with you. Okay. Something to watch for sure.
All right, folks, we are at the 11:30 mark plus. So thank you all very much for joining us on this late edition of Canucks After Dark. If you missed any part, you can go back to the beginning, or you can catch on your favorite podcast platform in a matter of 15 minutes or so. You can find it here in the morning on your way to work if you want to listen at that point. You can find me, ParkersPucks, on Twitter and YouTube. You can find Clay, Canuck Clay, on Twitter and YouTube. If you're going to be at the game on Seattle, try to find us and say hi. Otherwise, Clay, any parting words this fine evening?
So Parker, once again, thank you for delaying a bit. I know you got to pump a video, which is awesome. It's a win-win, but thank you for delaying for me. I know we're going to be at the game on Friday. And if somehow you guys are still awake, I'm a glutton for punishment. I started, just so everyone knows, I do a quick stream on Monday nights now, but I don't do any Canucks talk because I exhaust all my knowledge and energy with Parker here. So it would just be a repeat. So it's a little bit of a games night, what I used to do on Sunday night. And I'm still doing it tonight at 11:45. So if you want to do the trifecta with me and you're silly like me, then come join me. But otherwise, thank you everyone for a great show once again tonight.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.